now recording.
Ah, damn. Oh, long time no see, Craig.
So, hello, podcastlers, and welcome to another episode of the NHC Podcast. Today, we are celebrating a sort of return to form.
And don't forget about podcast members.
No,
What?
hush, it's all part of the plan. Armin, I've got this perfect segue planned, okay?
Okay,
Just trust me. So,
back to the beginning.
Oh my god, I
Yes.
can't. Oops.
right, return to form in more ways than one. As you may have noticed, for the past, it's been a month, actually, over a month, since we've done a video about a prehistoric taxon, a prehistoric animal, either a species, a genus, or sometimes even a general group, like we did with Albertosaurians. But now we're actually going back to that after Paleogame's Dinosaur Superworld, and we will be discussing quite an interesting group of theropod dinosaurs,
Oh boy.
namely Megaraptorans. But before we get into that, in a lovely parallel with our return to form, we are also seeing a return of a member who's been absent for quite some time. Yo-yo-yee! Yo-yo!
Yo, 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 yo.
God, never say that again. That was
Oh,
cringe. But
What the
I love scaring Arvin like that. Oh my god.
okay.
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 Yes, this may or may not be Yo-Yo's last episode with us.
Especially after what he just did, so...
Yes. But anyways, Megaraptorans.
Also, I'm here too.
Oh yes. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I forgot about that. Armin. Akiro, I'm joined by Yo-Yo and Armin. He's always on. Never mind him.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
should we start now?
Yeah. The Trinity. We've not stopped recording.
I know.
But yes, Megaraptora. What are Megaraptorans? They're dinosaurs.
If your answer is a mess, you are correct, but also there's more
No,
to
you
say.
are correct. But yeah.
You are correct. That's all. So, second thing.
Megaraptorans. So they're this group of theropod dinosaurs. They're not very well preserved, but generally, what a Megaraptoran is, it's a mid-sized theropod, although we have evidence of some attaining relatively large sizes around 9-10 meters. But generally, they are mid-sized bipedal theropods, whose notable feature is the large claws on their hand. Even then, I can't really discuss the large claws on their hand in a general way, because we have the hand preserved for two Megaraptorans, two Megaraptorids, and a couple of others, and they're all largely different hands. So we'll have to discuss each hand individually. But yeah, the hand, and notably, of course, the first finger's claw is the main part. It's got a lot of history behind it. For instance, when the first two genera were discovered, the first two named genera, Megaraptor and Fukuiraptor, were discovered. They were known primarily by the claw, which was interpreted as being a large dromaeosaur claw, hence Megaraptor.
Yeah.
It's obviously a very creative name.
Yes.
We think it's a raptor, and it's big. Megaraptor.
Exactly.
But I guess it can join the club of Gigantoraptor with that, so...
Yeah, true. Very true.
Yeah. So yeah, Megaraptor was described and named in 98, I believe. Yeah. It was described in 98 with some hand and foot material and named Megaraptor, and they thought it was a dromaeosaur. However, Fukuiraptor was described in 2000, and it was actually the first one correctly identified as not being a dromaeosaur. In 2000, Fukuiraptor was described as a carnosaur, which is basically allosauroids plus one extra taxon. So basically as an allosauroid. Megaraptor was only realized to have the claw to be hand material in 2004. So actually Megaraptor, the discovery of a hand, which was published in 2004, was not the first indication that these weren't dromaeosaurs. So Fukuiraptor actually gets the record for being the first discovered one, and although not the first described one, the first one to be properly identified as a non-dromaeosaur theropod.
Still Fukuiraptor though.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they made over. Well, you still have Murusraptor as well, so.
Yeah, I guess.
But that's because the Megaraptoran legacy. But yeah, so that was it in 2004, and then we started discovering new ones. We discovered Australovenator in 2009, and have been getting new material ever since.
Yes.
And then we've just been discovering some other ones popping up. We have Aerosteon, which was originally thought of as a Carcharodontosaur when it was discovered in the 90s. We'll be discussing about how that affected a piece of paleomedia later on when we do the paleomedia section. But yeah, Aerosteon was thought of as a Carcharodontosaur through to the mid-2000s, when at the last minute, Serino correctly identified it as a No, he didn't. Did he? No, he didn't. He didn't correctly identify it as Megaraptor. He just thought it's a big theropod, but we don't know what it is. Which is why in Planet Dinosaur, Aerosteon is mentioned as a possible Carcharodontosaur, even then, I believe, or at least as an unidentified avatheropod. And it took some time for Aerosteon to be added as well to the roster, or shall I say, roster of Megaraptorans.
Hey.
Your pun is bad, and you should feel bad.
I approve. I like that one.
How long have you been thinking about this one?
No, that was impromptu. That was impromptu.
It's been 3 weeks. Oh my god.
But yeah, so up until well, like we said, that's really all we can say about Megaraptorans in general. The early taxa from Asia, Phuwiangvenator and Fukuiraptor, are generally smaller at around 4 to 5 meters in length. Then Australovenator is one of the bigger taxa, but from the only ones we know of as truly being basal are Fukuiraptor and Phuwiangvenator anyways. Australovenator and South American Megaraptorans, who knows? And we're just not even able to avoid the topic of phylogeny any longer. So we've discussed anything we can for Megaraptoran morphology, so let's go into Megaraptoran phylogeny.
Which, as you may know, is kind of a headache, because you have two big ideas in terms of phylogeny for these guys.
Yeah.
One being that Megaraptorans would somehow fit into Coelurosauria with varying positions. Some place them closer to the base of the group, others more along the side of Tyrannosauroids.
Sometimes even within Tyrannosauroidae.
And the second idea would be that, as you've heard with Aerosteon and with Fukuiraptor, the idea that they are actually carnosaurs or Allosauroids. Specifically closely related to Neovenator, which would then create a great Neovenatoridae.
Yeah.
Which is itself fairly close to Carcharodontosaurs.
Damn, that's a pain.
Yeah. It was up until 2014 that they were thought of as undisputed Neovenatorids. But then it was in 2014 that they discovered the first skull material of a Megaraptoran. And that really put concrete evidence towards them being Coelurosaurs. I think they were hypothesized slightly a bit before, but who knows? I mean, they were even argued to be Spinosauroids at one point.
I think that they're at the earliest.
Thanks for that, Thomas Holt.
Dromaeosaurs were originally
They've been through everything.
Yeah. So that was a mess, but predominantly you have the Neovenatorid hypothesis in the 2000s through to like 2012, 2014. Since then, Coelurosaur hypothesis has definitely been predominant. The only times you'll see a phylogeny nowadays finding Megaraptora to be within Neovenatoridae is alongside an alternate phylogeny of them being Coelurosaurids. No Coelurosaurians. There has been no paper really since the 2014-2015 arguing for Neovenatorids over Coelurosaurs. And there have been some papers strongly arguing that, yeah, these guys are definitely coelurosaurs, such as the 2019 redescription of Murusraptor, finding them to be tyrannosauroids, or the even more recent Phuwiangvenator paper, finding them to be basal coelurosaurs, with the addition of this new taxon. We also have, we had one sort of last gasp for the neovenatoid hypothesis when Gualicho was described. And it was described as a carnosaur. So there was a bit of a hypothesis that maybe they're carnosaurs, but that's since died, and even then, Gualicho is probably not a Megaraptor in any way.
The current idea is that Gualicho is a sister taxon to Deltadromeus.
Yeah.
And both of them, in more recent analysis, are placed within Ceratosauria. So as
Noasaurs.
Noasaurs, exactly, yes.
Yeah. So that's it. With regard, just one last aside to Neovenatoridae. Currently, Neovenatoridae is just Neovenator and Siach. Chelantosaurus, who knows where that is? That guy is flip-flopping behind Megaraptoridae, where it used to be nested, to Neovenatoridae, to basal coelurosaur. So, yeah, it's been hip-hopping about quite a fair bit.
Okay.
We blew.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. Continuing on with phylogeny. So, like we mentioned, Megaraptor, the placement of Megaraptora is borked. We really don't have a clue, but generally the consensus nowadays is some level of Coelurosauria. Borked. It's I don't know. It just.
He wants to say the F word, but can't because censorship.
Bork.
Yes, censorship. But fear not, placement of Megaraptorans within Megaraptora is equally messed up.
Yay!
And we're getting into that now. So, Megaraptora was originally defined as, well, a group within Neovenatoridae. Yeah. It was a clade within Neovenatoridae. Now that Megaraptor has popped out of Neovenatoridae, there is Megaraptoridae within Megaraptora. So what is a non-Megaraptorid Megaraptoran? Initially, back when... initially...
Oh my god!
Initially, you had Allosauria carcered onto... At some point, I'm just looking at a tree on Wikipedia, where they have Allosauria. Within that, they have Carcharodontosauria. Within that, they have Neovenatoridae. Within that, they have Megaraptora. Within that, they have Megaraptoridae. It's a mess. I could go into the history of shifting allegiances. Australovenator was found to be the sister taxon to Fukuiraptor as a non-Megaraptor Megaraptoran, but then it was found to be the sister taxon to Aerosteon, which I strongly disagree with. Aerosteon is the biggest and most well-built of all Megaraptorans compared to Australovenator, which seems far more light-bodied and more akin to, say, Murusraptor. Or, yeah, Murusraptor is the only other one who've got decent skeletal remains of, or perhaps even Megaraptor. But, yes. Now, generally, however, the trend is that all of them are Megaraptorid Megaraptorans, with the exception of Fukuiraptor, which is consistently found as non-Megaraptorid, and now the newly named Phuwiangvenator. And what we see is that Phuwiangvenator is the basalmost Megaraptoran. Then we have Fukuiraptor, and then we have Megaraptorids, which are all the other named taxa. And also this lines up well with the geological chronology, with Phuwiangvenator being the oldest of the Megaraptorans, then Fukuiraptor, and then the South American taxa, including Australovenator as well. Of course, then we've got an unnamed Megaraptoran that may be more basal, that is from South America, from earlier than all the other South American Megaraptorids, but we're just leaving the unnamed taxa out of this for now. We'll discuss them later by themselves, because there's not really been a good phylogeny incorporating the unnamed skeletal remains. So that's it, really. In conclusion, we've got Aerosteon, Australovenator, Megaraptor, Murusraptor, Orcoraptor, and Tratayenia being Megaraptorids. Outside of that, we have Phuwiangvenator and Megaraptor being non-Megaraptor and Megaraptorans, and Phuwiangvenator is slightly more basal than Fukuiraptor. In fact, I'll be sharing a phylogenetic tree visual of that just to illustrate to the audience what that means, whilst my other podcast members probably are hopelessly lost. Are you guys alive, or?
I'm alive. I just don't have anything to say.
Honestly, I'm pretty dead.
I mean, yeah, yo-yo and phylogeny just doesn't match.
No,
so.
just don't.
Well, good news. We're done with the phylogeny.
Yay!
We've got nothing more to say, really. So, all we can really do now is discuss the individual Megaraptorans, because that's all we can do based on the science we know. And during the process, I will show you guys that Australovenator is the best Megaraptor ever.
Exactly.
Goddamn propaganda, as always.
Now I will present the facts, the unfiltered facts. And they will speak for themselves. Anyways,
Exactly.
let's just dash. Now, what we could do, actually, first of all, there is one thing I want to discuss about the morphology, which is some of the important parts that we do have preserved in general, such as the hand and the skull. Don't worry, this won't take long.
At least I have got some good hand pictures.
Yeah. Let's start with Megaraptor, first of all, because it's sort of the OG.
Yeah.
Podcast image channel. Here we go with a Megaraptor hand. So as we can see here, the first finger is one sort of finger bone and then the claw bone. The middle finger is two finger bones plus a claw bone. And then the third finger, no one cares about. It's pretty useless in Megaraptor.
Yeah, it's fairly small. You've got the biggest is the first digit. The second one is it just gets smaller from the first digit onward.
Yeah.
I can see how they confuse it for a dromaeosaur, though.
Yes. Yeah, that's the interesting thing about claw morphology, which is that the morphology of the first ungule is very dissimilar to, say, Allosauroid or Spinosaurid claws, because it's not like a hook, it's like a blade. This was a quote-unquote possible slashing implement. Granted, there's not been biomechanical analyses to the extent that dromaeosaurids have had on their claws. In fact, there was one that just came out.
Literally today, which definitely supports raptor prey restraint.
Yes, raptors pinning down prey smaller than themselves, for the most part. Obviously, something like Dakota Raptor, Utah Raptor, maybe. But the actual claw itself was designed for raptor prey restraint.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will say, though, the overall morphology, ignoring the claw morphology, but the proportions, is very similar to Allosauroids and Spinosaurids, with the first claw being really massive, and then the middle claw being normal-sized. Quote-unquote normal. Of having a big one, a slightly smaller one, and a small one. That's all I really have to say about Megaraptor's hand. It's one of its best preserved elements. We really don't have that much else from actual Megaraptor. So yeah, there's even evidence of alleged gregariousness of grouping nature between three Megaraptorans, but it's just three different sized arm bones found together. So that's lovely and extensive. Anyways, Megaraptor, pretty okay. Nothing that special besides the actual size.
But you see, Australovenator.
Yes, I will share Australovenator. Actually, since we were doing skeletal reconstruction, skeleton.
What?
What? I'll get just skip to the point before we keep talking about it.
Since we're doing skeleton stuff, I'm gonna share a skeleton stuff picture of
Australovenator?
Yes, the Australovenator.
Okay, yeah, I am at it.
There.
That's an impressive arm.
That is an impressive arm.
Yeah.
As you can see, both claws being more similar in size compared to Megaraptor.
Exactly. That's the big difference. Australovenator has equally large claws on the first and second finger. Wibbly wobbly. We did another cut roundabout now.
Wow.
Okay. Anyways, as I was saying, and did not just, stop working for a moment, there's none of that Allosauroid, Spinosauroid, imitation hands stuff going on with Australovenator. This is absolutely unique. This is two massive first claws. There's actually morphological differences between the claws, though, in that although they're the same size, they're not the same shape, and also the finger range of motion and hyperextensibility are different, suggesting different functions for the first two fingers. But we'll get more into that when we actually discuss Australovenator.
Yes.
But as you can see, it's pretty different. I mean, the same overall layout of, as the generic, first finger, the first finger has one finger bone in the claw, second finger has two finger bones in the claw, third finger is inconsequential. It's also not that well preserved. We don't have all of the finger bones for the third finger. But the first two fingers are very different in structure to Megaraptor. Say, Armin, is there another picture you might have of the Australovenator skull?
I'm glad you asked, because I just happen to have another one.
My God!
How did you know?
Oh. Epic.
Wow. Yes.
So yeah, this guy is getting slashed.
Yeah, he's getting his money's worth. That's
Poor guy.
Yeah. That's it. We just wanted to share with you the gloriousness of this picture.
Yes.
Moving on. We also have a sort of in vivo, in life reconstruction of the hand. Not that it adds much, but just to show that they were of equal size.
I mean, just so Carol can show off more pictures of Australovenator, basically.
Exactly.
I had this one ready, that's why. But yeah. Anyways, fun fact, that's all the Megaraptorid hands we have. We do have some non-Megaraptorid Megaraptoran hand remains, namely from Fukuiraptor and Phuwiangvenator, but we'll get into those in the actual specific discussions. Basically, long story short, they show a more similar morphology to Australovenator, with the first two claws being similar in size. In Phuwiangvenator, we have two similarly sized first claws and a small third claw, but they're not anything exceptional in size. Fukuiraptor has first two claws are also very similar in size to each other, but you see they're far more, the longer and more recurved than they are in Phuwiangvenator. The third claws are known for Fukuiraptor. So this trend of the first two fingers being similar in size is to be sort of the basal condition for Megaraptorans, as evidenced by the Asian Megaraptorans. Australovenator keep this and enlarge and enhance those two. Megaraptor may have just enlarged the first one whilst the second one stopped enlarging. We don't know. But basically, it's different hand morphology within the Megaraptorids in that respect.
I mean, they're different things, I guess.
Yeah. And also perhaps just gradual evolution favoring.
Yeah.
I mean, there's clearly a trend towards favoring didactyly, with the first two fingers being the only ones that really played a role in prey dispatch and capture.
Who cares about the third one, man?
Of course.
I mean, yeah, Tyrannosaurus yeeted the third finger entirely, so...
Yeah, we've got Therizinosaurs that yeeted the third finger. We've got an Oviraptorosaur that yeeted the third finger. Both of those two need to be published. One of them has a paper in the works, as in has a paper ready for submission for peer review. So, yeah, didactyly was common. Gualicho is also functionally didactyl, I believe, but I don't know if it fully lost the third finger, so that would be Noasaurids also being didactyl. So yeah, but anyways, that's just rambling, going to less important stuff than Megaraptorans. Before we discuss now the actual visual taxes, there's one last thing I'd like to bring up, which is Megaraptoran skull remains. Now, Aerosteon and Murusraptor do have some remains from the skull. We'll discuss those when we get to, Aerosteon has negligible remains from just the back of the skull. Murusraptor has fairly decent skull roof and lower jaw remains. But the most notable one that must be discussed is the young Megaraptor. I'll be showing the picture now. That's beautifully preserved. It's well preserved, but not very complete, let's be blunt.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
it's a decent.
But it's a decent enough. It's not the only skull material. It's the main jaw material that led to the narrow skull. We've also got a little bit from the back of the head in the juvenile, which overlaps with Murusraptor as well.
Elongated.
Well, bear in mind that this would not have been the actual lower jaw. That's just part of the bone. We still have more bones on top. But yeah, it's like almost dromaeosaurine. Like there's this one awesome dromaeosaur called the Megaraptor that preserves the corresponding skull bone. I don't know why. I just just felt like bringing that up. Let me show the paper's official reconstruction of what it might have looked like with this and other remains from the skeletal being incorporated. So it's not too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not too bad. This individual was 3 meters long, while an adult Megaraptor would have been 8 to 9 meters long. It was only 6 years of age, histology shows.
I heard 89, and I was like, what the hell?
No, 8 to 9. So this clearly had a long way to grow. I mean, considering some of the skull changes we see with ontogeny, let's ignore Tyrannosaurids because Tyrannosaurine ontogeny is a mess. But with the whole non-Tyrannosraptor dubious natures and stuff. But looking at the stuff we do clearly have, like Albertosaurines, we have our Coelurosaurs do have substantial raising of the skull. Compsognathus as well. Juveniles have significantly narrower skulls than the adults. That's why we have the Jurassic Park one, I believe, has such a narrow skull.
Yeah, Jurassic Park, Compsognathus was pretty narrow in terms of... It's kind of surprising if you look at an older Compsognathus.
Let me bring up the Compsognathus skulls by Jamie Heedon, I believe, just to share. Like that's Oh yeah. That is quite deeper.
Yeah.
Why?
I believe they are the same. Yeah. So that's formerly known as Compsognathus coralestris, but found to be an adult. I believe. That is the story, right? Yes, the original was a juvenile. The second one is an adult. So yeah, case in point. Ufus. We only have juvenile for Megaraptor, but it was still enough to show that they would have been much more long-snouted than say the Allosauroids that they were depicted as at a few years prior. And it did bolster a lot because it does resemble greatly Coelurosaur skulls in morphology. So it did help a lot the transition towards Coelurosaurian placement for Megaraptora. That's all we have to say, though, for the general morphology. Now, I think it would be best to discuss Megaraptorans in reverse order, so to speak, because as we go from, let's say, west to east, so we'll start with the named South American taxa, then the named Australian taxon, and the named Asian taxa. So we'll just go roughly in that order.
Okay.
Which one shall we start with? Let's start with Aerosteon, shall we?
Okay.
That's one of the more complete ones. So this one is pretty damn complete.
Oh damn!
A few leg bones, the hip, some vertebrae, some ribs, no arms, a little bit of skull material, but
very fragmentary. And anyways, Murusraptor, we'll just see later, preserves much better skull material.
Yeah.
So there's not much to say. It does appear slightly more robust, I would say, than other Megaraptorans we'll be seeing later on. As in, that's quite high spines as well over the hip. Like that's quite interesting. And obviously, an interesting element of the skeleton is the pneumatization of the bones. They were very lightweight, hollow, air-filled. It would have had air sacs, I believe. So it was a big boost as well for the avian nature of large theropods.
Yeah.
Which still, in 2009 was a big transition point as well. It was a start like around the 2010s. So no, overall it's decent. We may have alleged extra Aerosteon remains. But this one is not fully grown. Aerosteon is like 8 to 9 meters long, but it's not fully grown.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
it's a pretty big animal.
Oh, it's quite big.
It's
Yeah.
the largest. It's the largest Megaraptoran we know of. But I'd like to draw your attention to the hip bones and the vertebrae around the back, because we're going to draw a comparison with another South American Megaraptoran, which is Tratayenia,
Ah, yes.
which voila, preserves completely different vertebrae essentially in terms of the overall shape and height.
Oh yeah.
Whereas Aerosteon had generally levelish back with a sort of spike over the hips, a sort of spike in height. It had a pseudo hump over the hips.
A very shallow hump.
Yeah, this one preserves a more traditional theropod look ball plan with the highest point being over the waist. Yeah. It's not very well preserved other than the vertebrae, but the vertebrae do show that. Yeah. But I would say that the vertebrae do show that consistency is not something we should assume in Megaraptorans or Megaraptorids. Because it's
like
everything about it.
A little messy.
Yeah,
It's almost,
and it directly contrasts Aerosteon in this respect. Not much else to say about Tratayenia. It's decently preserved vertebrae.
But it's only vertebrate.
That's about it. But it's still nice. It's nice. I like it.
I mean, all Megaraptoran remains are nice.
There's a certain named taxon from Australia that needs to burn in a fire, but
Yeah, I think we'll get to that one eventually, won't we?
That one's going in the unnamed. That one's going in the unnamed taxon because it does not deserve recognition as a valid taxon.
It is named, but we're not gonna recognize it as named.
Yes.
No bias from Akira's side.
I'm fine. We'll see. Anyways, let's go on to another one from South America, which is Murusraptor. This is the original image, the original silhouette showing all the skeletal elements. Remember, the actual silhouette, the point of these is not to show the necessarily accurate silhouette, but just the level of fossil preservation. I mean, that being said, for instance, the 2009 skeletal and silhouette of Aerosteon shows it as a carcharodontosaur-like animal. So we're definitely not, which is why we opted for the more recent reconstruction of its remains as Megaraptor and more lightly built by Javifel that we showed before Aerosteon. But anyways, Murusraptor is decent.
I mean,
the skull is the best bit. Skull is the best bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
how old would Murusraptor be?
I'm not sure. In age.
in age?
It's allegedly immature.
Oh, so
okay.
this one is immature as well. Okay.
Yeah, this one's smaller. This one's only around 6.4 meters long. But yeah.
Okay. Skull is the best part on this one, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it's
definitely.
Yeah.
Not much to talk about in terms of vertebrae.
No, but look at that little claw, dude. Bro, homie, that claw.
Yeah. So basically, in terms of we can say, well, at least Murusraptor didn't mess things up even further by having a large third claw. No, it has still the small third claw, like the others.
Yeah.
Also, Leo joined us.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hello, Leo.
Hello, everybody. So, what are we talking about? Because I just decided to join because it was interesting. If this is about Megaraptorans, I'm glad to talk.
We already posted the schedule in general.
All right. Just cut this out when I finally edit it.
It's airing in a few days, so.
Okay. Shoot. So on South American Megaraptorans, correct?
We're finishing up.
Yeah.
All right. Any that you need more mentions of or anything? Or are we just good for the time being?
we're good.
I think that's I think that's
Prepared,
all.
yeah.
Now time for Australovenator?
We're moving there. Slowly.
Yeah.
We're not done with
All
South
right.
American ones, actually, but we're finishing up. We still have
Okay,
one more to
fair
go. A rather overlooked taxon.
Which one?
Orcoraptor.
Orcaraptor. Yeah, this one was described based on meager remains. There aren't too many that
Yeah,
we have.
I have the
It's
silhouette
just-
here, so
All right, let's see. Yeah.
Huh.
What
Yeah.
I do know is that it was speculated to be once to be a consignatid, but that is very unlikely.
yeah.
It's from it was from the formerly named Pari-Aike formation of Santa Cruz, which
Yeah.
is actually Santa Cruz is way more known for prehistoric mammals rather than dinosaurs. So this this lived in the same formation as Talincowan and Puertosaurus, if I remember correctly. So
And
it's-
Dreadnoughtus as well, apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The interesting story about Orcoraptor is its formation was originally thought of as being Maastrichtian.
Yeah, but
the
it's
last
way more
phase of
likely
the
to be
Cretaceous.
Cenomanian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was originally thought of as the last surviving Megaraptoran. We do actually have Maastrichtian Megaraptorans, but those are unnamed taxa, so we're getting to those later.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
On to
We're not done. Hush. Slow. What I would like to point out is this is using also Incinerox's silhouette of composite Megaraptoran for the
Yeah.
outline.
awesome.
Yeah.
Pretty well preserved rib cage, to be fair.
Wait, where is it being closer? I can't see it.
No, because I believe the shading is preserved but not complete. So unfortunately, we've not got the best. It's that goddamn transparent background PNG. So on
Yeah.
Discord, it just fades in so frustratingly. But
Very-
whatever the case, it's decent enough.
I guess.
So small.
Yeah, well, a
Right.
lot of them. I mean, it's more akin to the Asian taxa in its size.
Is this a juvenile or is this known to be an adult?
No, I think I don't think it's been identified as juvenile.
Okay.
I mean, maybe,
cool.
but yeah, it's decent. But not much to say. It doesn't offer much to
Yeah.
the table. Let's move on to Australovenator now. We're done with. Wait, no, we're not done. We're not done. We don't have silhouettes of other Megaraptoran taxa from South America, but we obviously need to mention Megaraptor, which is known from decentish remains. It's mostly hand remains and the juvenile skull.
Yeah.
Which we already showed you, so.
Yeah. So there's not much we can share. It doesn't actually have a good skeletal because I guess its remains are not that well. They're not that well figured either in literature. Sadly, a lot of the older taxa, like Fukuiraptor as well, which we'll get to, aren't that well figured. So there's not much more we can say.
Can we discuss the phylogeny?
We already did. Look at the schedule.
Oh, I
God damn it.
sorry.
That's the reason we make these.
All right. Sorry. The history I meant, like
Are we
history
going over?
Yeah.
the description. And
Yep, we did.
We did.
Yep.
Okay. Fair enough. Good.
But yeah.
Alright.
It also would be kind of unfitting to do South American taxa and then jump to phylogeny and then jump to Australian and Asian taxa. So
Cut this out.
Maybe. Moving on. That's actually it for South American taxa. We only have 5 named South American taxa: Aerosteon, Aerosteon, Murusraptor, Orcoraptor, and Trataenia, which we all showed silhouettes of, and Megaraptor, which is sadly not excellently preserved. But now moving on to South America, we have to Australia. We have Australovenator.
Oh boy.
Because study was ongoing, excavations were ongoing until a couple of years ago of the site. So it spent almost like 8-9 years excavating the site and bringing up. I must have spent almost 10 years actually excavating the site I kept bringing up new material. There's no like one excellent silhouette or skeletal showing its preserved elements, but I'll show a decent one showing what we do have, and I'll discuss it. So this is also by Javifel. This one is missing some elements. Yeah, the legs are the best thing. Now, one thing to point out is that the legs, each leg is reconstructed as complete as possible. So, like, for instance, we don't actually have both legs that well preserved, but one of them is almost complete and the other one is partially complete.
Okay.
The hand, we also have pretty good remains of the hand in that we have almost a complete hand. Just missing the...
vertebrae.
We have no vertebrae. That's the one thing. But wait, we do have more. We do have some other extra elements that are not figured in the skeletal. But yeah, the hand is almost complete. It's just missing a couple of bones from the third finger. The dentary,
third finger.
The dentary, we actually have both dentaries, the left and the right dentary, basically the halves of the lower jaw bearing the teeth. We'll be discussing the dentary in a bit.
Yeah.
We have 3 ribs. We have several gastralia, which are not figured. Gastralia being the small belly ribs, so to speak, protecting the belly. And we also have, which has never been figured actually, it's just mentioned and shown in the paper, a very partial ischium. Ischium being part of the pubis. But that's never been figured.
The ischium is separate from the pubis. It's behind the pubis, actually.
Okay, well, it's part of the pubic area.
Yeah.
It's part of the hip bone. Yes. It's below the... Oh, no, sorry, I meant ilium, I believe.
Yeah.
Ilium? Ilium.
Yeah.
Remember hip anatomy, kiddos.
Ilium, right? Just,
yeah.
I just need to check.
The ilium is the top half. The pubis is the one that projects forward. Ischium is the one that projects back. Just for clarification's sake. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, when you mentioned the gastralia, it's the gastralia from Australia.
Oh my god.
It is what's today with people and bad puns? I'm sorry.
I was at really bad puns yesterday. Hot dogs, though. Anyway,
now,
Oh my god.
what to discuss first? The legs, hands, or lower jaw of Australovenator, or each of which is very special. Okay. So legs,
Yes.
Very complete, very well preserved, very long relative to its body size.
That's what she said.
And the pes morphology is very interesting. First of all, they did an extensive paper on the pes morphology because in 2013 they described the complete leg, and then, or near complete leg at least, the most complete neovenator leg, as they called it at the time. And then they did a paper reconstructing the pes as it would have been in life. Let me share a picture there. So as you can see, the scutes are a bit speculative, but we do know it would have had them based on Concavenator. It's supposed to be based on Concavenator and Nemu.
Mm-hmm.
It's got the soft tissue. Now, the most interesting thing to note about the foot of Australovenator is that although clearly the largest toe is the middle toe, the largest claw is the first toe claw. Well, quote unquote first, the second toe actually, because the first toe is the dew claw, so to speak, the small toe. Yeah, the small toe that is held elevated and does not touch the ground.
Except in
but the
first and Spinosaurus.
Yeah.
And also a lot of modern birds. But anyways, so of the 3 toes touching the ground, the first toe claw is the largest. And this resembles a situation in modern birds, notably the cassowary.
Should I post a picture of a cassowary foot?
I have a picture of a cassowary.
Okay.
As well.
Cassowaries are awesome.
Obviously,
Well,
this
that's
is
way more
far.
extreme.
That's far more extreme, yeah, than anything visible in the Australovenator foot. But what is interesting to note is the fact that not only is the morphology similar to a cassowary foot, but the first toe claw, well, the second toe claw, the claw of the inner toe on the ground, like in a cassowary, that toe claw in Australovenator has a pathology, an injury, a wound, which they speculate the nature of the wound is similar to that which would have been caused by repeated impact.
So basically kicking.
Basically kicking. And concerning the cassowaries also kick stuff, and that's why they have the large claw on the inner toe.
Just anything. They kick
emus also, if an emu will kick something, it will initiate.
Picture of cassowary kicking.
It will, just a second. If an emu kicks as well, it will, the main force of the impact will be on the first, quote-unquote, first toe. If you want to go ahead to give an illustration of what the kicking would be like. Yeah.
Oh,
now imagine that being Australovenator, basically, because that's the suggestion the authors make. It was the original cassowary, so to speak. It's
at this time armed with really big claws on its hands and also
and the jaw.
Bitey face.
Yes,
It's awesome.
to use the scientific term. What else can we say about Australovenator's legs and foot? Not much. But
Now the arms.
No, we're not done actually. I want to segue into the trackway since we're talking about the foot.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now there was a trackway first published after being excavated. It was excavated around the 60s, 70s, I believe, and published in 1984. Is from Australia, same formation as Australovenator, and shows several small animals, likely ornithopods, running from a much larger animal, which they speculated to be a large theropod. Now, in the late 2000s, these guys started criticizing it by saying that actually maybe the track maker was a Metaborasaurus-like ornithopod, the large track maker, and there was no theropod. Then they also went on to speculate that actually the tracks were laid down at different times. That much has not been addressed since. But what has been addressed is the nature of the track maker. In that, thanks to the 3D reconstruction of the foot in the PES reconstruction was in 2016. In 2017, they created a 3D flexible model of the foot and recreated trackways in the same sediment that Lark Quarry was deposited in. And they found that the trackways matched perfectly. So it's most likely Australovenator that caused the trackway. At the very least, a large theropod, and Australovenator does match very well with its morphology.
Damn,
so
epic.
Quite possible that Australovenator was there at this quote-unquote dinosaur stampede. Whether it was actually a stampede or laid down at two different times, that's another question that has not been addressed yet. I'm not that aware as to the actual validity of the original authors claiming it was set down at two different times. Apparently, there's actually unpublished evidence of the Australovenator actually attacking and missing one of the ornithopods. So interesting stuff. Hopefully, we'll see more about the Lark Quarry, but it's nice to actually have confirmation that the large track maker, the main large track maker, was Australovenator or a fundamentally similar theropod.
Yeah.
We do also have a large ornithopod, track maker B, at the site, but that's always just a generic large ornithopod that's just ambling around. No one ever cares about that one. It gets the third finger treatment.
Yes.
Now let's move on to the hands of Australovenator and arms.
Best things.
Best thing.
So the hand of Australovenator, as we mentioned earlier, Armin, feel free to reshare the picture.
All right.
It's basically...
In case you haven't been paying attention, which you should, why aren't you paying attention?
Yeah. Now, as we said earlier, of course, the two claws are of equal size, but different morphology. Specifically, while the first claw is, like with all Megaraptorans, did I say all Megaraptorans? I meant with, like, Megaraptor, because that's the only one that has a particularly well-preserved claw, but also Fukuiraptor. It's blade-like, like a dromaeosaur claw. It's very sharp on the underside. That's it, really. It's a slashing or implement, perhaps. Unlikely to have been used for raptor prey restraint, because it's not a foot claw. But whatever the actual morphological features or the actual functional use of it, its morphology is very similar to that of a dromaeosaur claw. However, the middle finger bears a hook-like claw, a more smoother cylindrical claw in cross-section, a more circular claw in cross-section, with a smoother underside that would not have been a cutting tool.
Yeah.
Conclusion, unclear, but the fingers do also have different hyperextensibility and range of motion. So the authors of the paper hypothesized that perhaps they actually had different functional uses. Swiss Army hands, basically. One of them slashed, the other one hooked. Yeah. Possible. I mean, what the actual functional differences were, unclear. But there was something up with its hands. What we do know for sure, however, is that its hands were used for basically everything. Specifically, its hands...
Everything, but specifically.
Yes. Its hand resembles basal tetanurans and basal theropods like Dilophosaurus, in that, they have... gosh, what was it? Range of motion. What was it? Was it that? Because they have hyperextensibility and range of motion, both features, which are different, which imply similarities with both basal theropods and Megaraptorans. The range of motion characteristic of the first finger is similar to Dilophosaurus, and overall suggests prey capture functions and prey dispatch. So, yeah, it was clearly, I mean, obviously we didn't actually need a study to tell us that these claws were used for killing animals, but yeah, it was definitely a weapon being used. However, the claws also have similarities with dromaeosaurs in terms of the which one was it? But it just has so much large flexion capabilities. That's the one that it shares, and a range of that it was similar to dromaeosaurs in terms of flexion, and also the arm position and the wrist movement was very similar to dromaeosaurs. In fact, the arm is actually more advanced than a lot of dromaeosaurs in that its wing folding mechanism was similar to that of modern birds. It had a specialized arm that, when pulling its arms back into flexion, I believe the radius would move distally. The radius would move distally, forcing the wrist down, which is exactly what happens in modern birds. And also the general range of motion flexibility of the wrist as well, and the fingers suggest that it was actually able to grab animals and draw them in close, suggesting that it could actually pick animals up, and specifically could actually just hold them to eat them. I'll be showing the picture.
A pretty scary thought, to be honest.
Yeah, it would basically...
The ways Australovenator could kill you is staggering.
Yeah, but then we going to the jaw,
almost like a mixed martial artist. Hint, hint at our last episode.
It even has kicking abilities.
Finally. God damn.
Australovenator for NHC fighting game.
No, we're gonna do Megaraptoran instead.
No.
You disgust me. Also, I have background in the background, so it makes my voice more dramatic.
For some awkward reason, the papers about Australovenator give it pronated hands, which is disgusting when it's done without reasoning.
No.
Also, when it pronated, when it would move its hands and flex its fingers and flex its hands and fingers, they would slightly converge and diverge. So basically, its fingers would actually like widen up and split apart. Its first finger could rotate slightly, very slightly, not as much as Bambiraptor, to face the other fingers. So very complex, and I love the sentence at the end of the paper. Considering all aspects of range of motion, articulation, and form morphology, we conclude that Australovenator belongs to a highly derived tetanuran or very basal coelurosaur. Basically, it's either very basal or very advanced. Thank you. Very nice.
Yes.
Very
exactly.
helpful.
Way to stoke the fires.
Yeah. But here's also a reconstruction of Australovenator munching on what appears to be a small animal.
Punch.
Dromaeosaur, Arabian.
Edit it with a sandwich in there.
Oh my god.
Or a burger, whatever.
I'll do that later.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so as you can see also, the wrist could move, because the thing was about its arms, that it could spread its arms outwards almost to be horizontal with the ground plane.
T-pose.
Yeah, and could almost lower them to be vertical, but could not actually make them vertical, the hands, to be like directly facing the ground, with the arms, which is why the wrist would flip inwards and the fingers would hyperextend to hold a prey and item together. So yeah, that's largely it for the arms. So basically the arms, two different claw shapes, but similar sizes, slightly different finger range of motion, hyperextensibility, possible different functions, very flexible fingers capable of extreme hyperextensibility, and wrist movement, very flexible arm, capable of wing folding parallel, similar to in a similar style, and also function biomechanical method that modern birds use to fold their wings, though possibly not to the same extent. And all of this is without accounting for cartilage that would have enhanced the flexibility. So that's terrifying.
Exactly.
But it gets better. The dentary of Australovenator, the lower jaw.
Yes.
So initially they had a partial one, but then they described a more complete, nearly complete right dentary, which is epic on so many levels. I will be sharing it here. I will be sharing the sort of the scan version, so you can also see a little bit of an X-ray style view at the interior of the jaw, which shows that there is no tooth slippage.
Yeah, damn.
There's like hardly any tooth slippage. Those teeth are properly rooted in there. So that's lovely. There's not as much to say. That's a lot of teeth. That's 19 teeth in the lower jaw, on one side of the lower jaw. Yeah.
Epic.
So that's like probably going to have been over 80 teeth overall.
Yeah, damn.
They weren't, necessarily killing tools. They weren't particularly specialized, unless, of course, we discover the upper jaw had fangs or something.
I mean, because what more could you do to Australovenator to...
I mean, the kicking is already unnecessary, but awesome. I mean...
Yeah.
What do you need? So
it's like somebody throwing together his custom dinosaur.
It's basically Dr. Wu's ultimate hybrid.
Yes.
It will kick, it will slash, and it will eat and jump and grab and thing.
Yes.
Same thing.
Yeah. We've yet to discover the thing, but yeah. Also, the fact that the teeth are preserved in the skull allows us to confirm that several other teeth belong to Australovenator found in the area, such as there's a lot of teeth associated with sauropod skeletons. In fact, I forgot to mention that the only known specimen of Australovenator was found together with a much larger sauropod. However, it's unlikely that this was a direct act of predation. The area that they died in would then have been a billabong, which we can tell from the preserved sediment. An billabong being a sort of natural trap akin to quicksand, the Australian version of quicksand, basically. Australovenator being the top predator in its environment would probably have been scavenging like adult sauropods and all that. That's why the teeth are there. But it's not impossible that it may have occasionally, hunted young, similarly sized sauropods in like a 1.5 ton range. So yeah, that's it for Australovenator. We also have, like we said, ribs in Australia, but there's not much there. The ribs aren't complete either, sadly.
The ribs are awesome and amazing.
Turns out it could expand its ribs outwards to stab animals.
And fly.
Yeah.
It could
It
also,
also can
blow
teleport
itself
and
up.
shoot lasers from its eyes.
Yo, what guys? Here's another thing that we found out. One threatened and one no other. When, as a last resort, they expand their ribs and they basically kamikaze themselves toward Winter the Titans. They inflate their bodies and then they just run straight into Winter the Titans, claws out.
They have a built-in bomb.
Boom, like that.
Okay. Anyways.
I don't know how loud that was.
This is very serious paleontological discussion, by the way. Take notes.
I know, right?
Yes, there's going to be a quiz after this.
Yeah, there will be a quiz after this. No notes. You're gonna have to memorize them.
Yeah.
Or wait, should we have them open note or not? Whatever. We're getting off
anyway.
topic.
Yes, we are.
Fukuiraptor.
No, we're not necessarily done. Are we done? Are we done?
Yeah.
Well, other stuff to discuss would go into paleomedia. It's got the most paleomedia of any Megaraptoran.
Well, the coolest one. So.
Yes.
It's
Oh,
also-
right. We aren't done, actually. I have to give my complete list of reasons why Australovenator is the best dinosaur ever. Let me find
Number
my
one,
notes.
it's the best dinosaur.
Hold up, no, I've legit made notes about
I
this.
post a timestamp in the comments so you can skip this part.
Oh my. Yes, here it is. It's on my reasons why Australovenator is epic. First of all, two equally big but morphologically different claws. Most advanced hand of all theropoda. Wing folding. Cassowary kick. Probably caused the large quarry stampede, if it is indeed a stampede. A fossilized dentary containing teeth without tooth slippage. It has its own theme song. Beat that.
Yes.
It does, actually. Look it up. Australovenator, creeping through the Cretaceous times. Yeah, it's not going to work if...
I forgot something. I know it had Killing Machine at the end, but I'm not going to want to sing Highway Star by Deep Purple instead.
No, okay. But yeah, Australovenator by Professor Flint. Check it out. It's an epic song. And
yes,
obviously,
listen to it while
not
listening
just...
to this podcast.
Yes.
And
add
it to your Spotify playlist, or else you should unsubscribe. If you don't do it,
what? No, dude, Philo, stop. But yeah. And in conclusion, you cannot spell Australovenator's name without spelling out love.
Hey.
Australovenator. On a t-shirt soon. Go buy a merch.
I will share this with Sassy made this. He can't be here today, but I'm sure he'd appreciate it.
Yes, he's over in Italy right now.
Yes, coming to stores soon. Coming to Patreon soon.
Go buy a merch.
He will come over to his store soon. Yeah, you know what? That needs to be on a T-shirt alongside with an Australovenator holding a heart, preferably drawn by me.
I would draw that, please. I'm taking that.
No,
okay.
I will.
Aw. Okay, enough. Continuing on.
We on to the Fukuiraptor?
Okay.
Oh my god, that's so good.
Anyway, we on to the Fukuiraptor now, or
Yeah.
nay?
Wait. I am the dungeon master. I say what goes. Well, Fukuiraptor, there's not that much to say, sadly. Again, it doesn't have a silhouette or a good skeletal, even though it has a pretty damn well-preserved growth series in terms of leg material, like tibia and all of that, in that it has a growth series from an individual of around 73 centimeters long to an adult of 4.2 meters long.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Interesting.
This is preserved in what skeletal element? I believe like either a femur or tibiae from all of these different ages.
I got a tape measure on me.
Yeah, femora from the quarry. You have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 femora.
And he doesn't
of
stop
different-
counting.
Yeah, but you have like from 73.5 centimeters to 4.2 meters in length. And
Damn.
yeah, it's still hasn't configured. The first two fingers and claws are preserved. They are of similar size, the claws, like in Australovenator, but
Like
not
Megaraptor,
as enhanced.
Yeah, not
And like
that
Megaraptor, it thought to be close to Dromaeosaurs when first described. But in the paper describing it, it was described as a carnosaur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did this.
I
We did
do
this.
remember. I remember from a David Peters book where Peters mentioned that there was a Dromaeosaur from Japan, and I had a feeling. And also, there was another book discussing dinosaur discoveries around the world, like in Valley of the Moon, Morocco, Dinosaur Provincial Park. And one of the things I mentioned was giant raptor from Japan. If any book from the late 90s mentions, or I believe I think like early 90s, mentions a Dromaeosaur from Japan, chances are it's going to be Fukuiraptor that they're mentioning.
Yeah. And if they're mentioning a large Dromaeosaur,
Peter's probably still considered as a raptor, so
we could do that as like an addendum, just reviewing Peters' Megaraptoran phylogeny.
Oh my god.
Incredible.
No, we need to do a full Peters episode, but we gotta.
I mean, like, it's a nice idea, but considering that Megaraptoran phylogeny is already messed up, how much worse can Peter's version be?
Oh, he makes it worse. He makes it worse.
A lot. It
Subscription.
could be a lot.
But
anyways, moving on. Fukuiraptor. So so there's not much there. The skull material. Incinerox, who I mentioned earlier, who did the composite skeletal, I believe, scaled the Fukuiraptor's lower jaw fragments to Australovenator's dentary, and it has a much deeper jaw proportionally. So, food for thought that Fukuiraptor, the basal-most Megaraptoran with dentary fragments preserved, has a much deeper lower jaw than, say, Australovenator, all that. But anyways, there's not much more to say about Fukuiraptor. It's a moderately sized Megaraptoran, around 4 meters long, Japan. 2 large claws on its first finger, moderately large claws on its first finger, dromaeosaurid morphology claws, and that's it. And a deep lower skull, a deep lower skull.
A Jeep lower skull. Shoot. This is going to give Armin some more Photoshop material.
Also,
but anyways. Yeah.
Oh, also, if you guys want a better Fukui theropod, try Fukuiraptor. Much more well preserved.
Much more well preserved, but still borked in phylogeny.
Yeah.
But we're getting off topic.
Trying to avoid the F-bomb.
Off topic.
Anyway, continue. We're moving on to Phuwiangvenator?
Yes, we are.
Ooh, we are! Yay! It's
not much to talk about. Story over.
Yeah, just watch our Paleo News video and you're all caught up.
No. I would like to point out that it does preserve the fingers. The first two fingers are similar. The first 2 finger claws are similar in size. The third one is small. So it's logical that Fukuiraptor, being more advanced than it, would also have had a small third finger and claw. As we see, the vertebrae appear more basal than other Megaraptorans. They're the centra longer than they are tall, which is something we'll get back to shortly when we go to the unnamed Megaraptorans, which we're getting into now.
Oh my god, this is going to be a long episode.
Yeah.
Can't be any longer than Paleo Games 2.
We continuing? God damn it.
Yes.
Okay. Oh my god, I thought Discord cut out again.
It might.
Moving
Moving on from that thinly veiled threat, We've got the unnamed taxa that we'll move on to now.
Should we start with the named, unnamed taxa, which you despise so much?
Yes, Raptor.
Okay, you dropped the F-bomb now.
Yes.
It's your fault. It wasn't me this time.
Raptor is a single hand bone. Smaller than Australovenator. From the Gryman Creek Formation. It was named... I'll just go on Wikipedia. It was named back... It was discovered in 1905. It was named in 1932. And that's it. It's a metacarpal. Let me share the picture of its hand bone compared to Australovenator. Raptor being the one on the right, the small pansy one no one cares about. And lovely enough, Wikipedia went and said, if Raptor had a build like Australovenator, it would have attained a considerable size. A body length of 9 meters has been estimated.
Whoa.
So I'm like very confused because the metacarpal is clearly smaller. And so I click the link and it takes me to a book from...
Drum roll.
1998.
Yeah.
Before...
11 years before Australovenator was described. That's like 8 years before its first bone was discovered.
That makes sense.
So yes, thank you Wikipedia for being stupid. But yeah, Raptor was found to be dubious in like 2010, but then in 2013 they argued that it's actually a valid and distinct animal, and likely a distinct genus from Australovenator, given the time difference between it and Gryman Creek, between Australovenator's Winton Formation and Raptor's Gryman Creek Formation. However, earlier this year, the Gryman Creek Formation was redated and is roughly the same time as the Winton Formation, just maybe like directly preceding it in time. So when the Gryman Creek Formation ended in time, the Australovenator part of the Winton Formation began. So please make it dubious, because I'm not getting Australovenator synonymized with Raptor. But yeah, we also have, since we're in Australia, let's move on to better remains. Also from the Gryman Creek Formation, we have the hand of a Megaraptoran called Lightning Claw from the formation, which would have been like slightly larger than Australovenator in life, like around 10% larger. It lacks, among other bones, the one bone consisting of Raptor, the one bone constituting Raptor. So again, we cannot add this material to Raptor. Earlier this year as well, we also got more Megaraptor remains from Gryman Creek Formation described. Again, very scrappy, undiagnostic remains. You'll notice that a lot of the time, unless stated otherwise, the reason why Megaraptoran taxa are unnamed is not because they haven't been described yet, it's because they are undiagnostic. However, there are some yet to be described Megaraptorans that could potentially get described and named, might be diagnostic. We have an ulna from the Humerala formation, I believe, possibly some other hand material, but mainly the ulna, which might get described soon. Apparently, one paleontologist is going to task one of his students with describing it or something. So that would be nice. And then we have another scrappy remain from the Wonthaggi Formation, which is like a tail vertebrae or some foot vertebrae, something like that. We also have the Polar Allosaur from Walking with Dinosaurs.
That's
yes. Now, in Walking with Dinosaurs, there is a Polar Allosaur shown in Antarctica or Australia, whatever. They played very fast and loose with that. Shown coexisting with Lialinosaura. This is based on a single foot bone. As you can see, there's a bit of a trend. And the BBC retconned it as Australovenator after Australovenator was named. On their website, they identify the animal in the show as Australovenator. This is just a retcon, of course. There's no way it could have been Australovenator, and because Australovenator wasn't known at the time, and Australovenator also is nowhere near close to Lialinosaura in time, It's like a good 10 million years off, at least. So the polar allosaur itself, it's again undiagnostic, one bone, an astragalus bone. So that's it. In terms of other dubious Australasian, I believe that's the term, possible Megaraptorans, we have Joe and Whiffin's theropod from New Zealand. The only reason why I'm mentioning it is the art submissions. We've already seen some people do Joe and Whiffin's theropod as a Megaraptoran for the art submission. Well, there's nothing inherently wrong with doing it as Megaraptoran, I would say. It's not like Walicho level where it's properly been, scientific consensus has swayed. It's never been, officially viewed as a Megaraptoran because it's not very well documented, I believe, or very well preserved. But whatever the case, it could be Megaraptoran. It could also not be. So
time will
basically.
tell.
Time probably won't tell because it's not that diagnostic from what I know. And anyways, I'm not aware of any digs in New Zealand at the moment. So I doubt time will tell.
Yeah, so far New Zealand is just giving us more big birds.
More big birds, yes. Well, less non-avian dinosaurs, Armin.
Well, yes, you know what I mean.
Yeah, we know. But that's it, mainly for the Australian taxa. Very scrappy remains, except for Australovenator, and Lightning Claw is kind of decent. But that's it for Megaraptorans from Australia. From Asia, there's no unnamed taxon that's well preserved, at least. But we do have quite a few from South America. The Romualdo Formation, which features Irritator, Thalassodromius, Avaripasuchus, Myriskia, and all of these other animals. Also preserves a Megaraptoran, which was formerly identified as an Oviraptorosaur. Yeah, so this was a supposed Gondwanan Oviraptorosaur. But it's been reinterpreted last year as the oldest Megaraptoran of South America. So this would have been the oldest Megaraptoran of South America. Now the thing is, its vertebrae are longer. The centra are longer rather than tall, which is a trait shared only with Phuwiangvenator. So although Megaraptoridae and Megaraptora were not, a big thing for the paper, so they just do away with Megaraptoridae and treat all of them as Megaraptora in debt. So all of them as generic Megaraptorans. It would be interesting if the Romualdo Formation Megaraptoran turns out to be a non-Megaraptorid Megaraptoran, because that would mean we've got a Megaraptoran more basal than Australovenator in South America before Australovenator. So either Australovenator is the descent of a lineage that had established itself in Australia quite a bit, and the South American Megaraptorids are descended from the first migration into South America of Megaraptorans, or there were multiple migrations back and forth, either Australovenator being a second Megaraptorid that moved over to Australia, or the South American named Megaraptorans like Megaraptor or Orcaraptor being Australian taxa that moved over, or they just both evolved independently. I am personally likened to think that perhaps they were independent evolutions, with the Australian taxa evolving by themselves, as evidenced by the differences in the hand morphology, which is markedly different from what we see in Megaraptor. So it's quite possible, and then this would of course change up Megaraptoran phylogeny. But hey, Megaraptoran phylogeny is a mess already, so you can't break what's already broken.
You can break it even more, though.
Not when it's Megaraptora. That being said, David Peters broke it even more, but we're doing that as an addendum. I don't care. So that's the interesting one, the Oviraptorosaur. So we have an unnamed taxon being it has been properly described, so it's not like it might get named. This is just undiagnostic enough. The remains are, it's a partial sacrum articulated to two anterior caudal vertebrae and an ilium. Specimen number SMNS 58023. So call me. And interestingly enough, just as how the oldest South American Megaraptoran is unnamed and unlikely to get and will not ever get named. The same goes for the youngest Megaraptoran, specifically the Megaraptorans from the Bauru group, which are known from a few disassociated vertebrae, which, if I remember correctly, might as well be non-Megaraptoid Megaraptorans if we go by vertebrae identification as a basis for that.
What time frame would they be in?
Maastrichtian.
Maastrichtian, so...
There's several from Bauru group. There's one, Sao Jose de Rio Preto, I believe, is the Maastrichtian Megaraptoran. We have one from the Uberaba Formation and one from the Adamantina Formation, all within the Bauru group. So from Campanian to Maastrichtian.
Okay.
So interesting stuff. I'll probably be including all of these in the description below because there's just so many of them and so many interesting papers. But yeah, so the South American Megaraptorans are interesting ones. They're vertebrae mainly, but I think it would be nice to have them featured in phylogenetic analyses because I do believe they could offer some even bigger shakeups to the phylogenetic tree. But yeah. Also, just as a word of, I'd just like to mention, now that we've discussed most of the proper unnamed ones, we've got a bunch of terrible ones from Africa, but we'll get to those in a second. Megaraptoran origins. Now, with the discovery of Phuwiangvenator, it seems pretty solid that they originated in Asia. We have two very basal Megaraptorans from Asia, both predating as well also the other ones from Australia and South America. When Lightning Claw was first announced and described, they argued that maybe they originated in Australia because Lightning Claw would have slightly predated Fukuiraptor. But as we mentioned, the Greenland Creek Formation has been redated to about 10 million years younger. So that's gone. And now they're all about the same age. Australovenator, the Lightning Claw ones are all just a cluster around 100 to 95 million years ago. Mm-hmm. So Fukuiraptor predate. So you have Phuwiangvenator, Fukuiraptor, then the Romualdo Formation taxon, and also some of the unnamed ones from Australia, like the Umarala Formation taxon, I believe. Yeah, which is around the same time as the Romualdo, or a little bit older. And then you have the South America, and then you have the name taxons after all of that.
Of course.
From Australia and South America around that time. Do we discuss the African ones? With such amazing names as Osteoporosia.
Give it a quick mention, I guess, but...
Osteoporosia is privately held in like an amusement park, theme park in like Poland or something.
Well, that's shameful as hell.
Osteoporosia gigantea. Apparently, it's a 15-meter long Megaraptoran, but apparently, independent calculations find it to be the same size as Aerosteon, if it even is that. It's apparently from it's apparently from Morocco, in Cretaceous Morocco. There's a DA post by Hodari Nundu who kind of tackled it. I mean, he actually depicts it as 15 meters long. I would express caution and never mention its name again. This is that kind of taxon. So Osteoporosia, who knows, who cares? It's a bone in an amusement park in Poland, like a dinosaur park. But what might be interesting is Bahariasaurus, which is one genus that's probably as much of a mess as all of Megaraptora.
Together combined into one.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Exactly. The type specimen, not very good, and also destroyed in World War II.
Well, I haven't heard that one before.
Despite that, additional remains were attributed to it. Remains that not only were not remains attributed to not only a taxon that blew up, but that are also not overlapping with the remains that blew up.
Bruh.
And these new remains might be Megaraptoran and might be like a big Megaraptoran again, you know, like 10-meter long Aerosteon size. But yeah, Bahariasaurus is just a mess. It's arguably been synonymized with Delthodromeus. It's arguably a Megaraptoran. It's just... No. It's just incredibly weird. And I believe that's largely it for Megaraptorans. There may be a couple of unnamed ones. There may be like teeth and all of that, which you really can't assign to Megaraptor. I mean, claws alone have led Megaraptorans to be classified as dromaeosaurids, carnosaurs, spinosaurs, coelurosaurs. A tooth, yes, way to go. But yeah, that pretty much sums it up, I believe. There's no other taxa that really need mentioning. If there are, let us know, and we'll be able to discuss them with you in the comments as well. As always, if you ever have any questions about anything, we're always here and more than happy to address any questions in the YouTube comments. As well as just reaching out to us on Discord if you're on Discord. But YouTube comments works as well, and arguably even better for more formal one-to-one questioning. So that, I believe, concludes the scientific talk of Megaraptora. I do want to express one word of caution, though, about, we mentioned earlier, the composite skeletal, the fact that Orcaraptor appeared based on Incinerox's composite Megaraptor reconstruction, which I'll be sharing now, which is an extremely good reconstruction in its own right. It's extremely well documented. It includes a variety of specimens.
Yeah.
I would just like to none of what I'm about to say is criticism directed at Incinerox. Absolutely amazing job done. Just a word of warning for anyone wishing to use this. Bear in mind, as you always should, never use anything unquestionably. And while obviously Incinerox is great and reliable, there is the issue, which is that it's extremely hard and impressive that Incinerox attempted it to create a composite Megaraptor when, like we said, there's so many contradictory things within Megaraptorids. From Tratayenia and Australovenator and Aerosteon having the very different sacral and presacral vertebrae, to the hands of Australovenator and Megaraptor, the only good Megaraptorid hands as well, being completely different in morphology. We see there's quite a range and there's quite a lot of unknowns. So while obviously what Incinerox has done is extremely commendable, and some of you may find it extremely useful, don't be afraid to shy away from it, is my only comment. Look at this
specific Megaraptor.
Yeah, if you're doing a specific Megaraptoran, look at the skeletal remains we have. Like, for instance, Tratayenia, make sure you get the vertebrae right. Murusraptor, the skull bits. Aerosteon, its vertebrae and all that. Australovenator, its hand and leg. And then supplement it as you see fit. You can supplement it with instance composite if you like. You can supplement it with your own mix and match of various features.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, don't worry too much. We don't, even the skull is that we have, the upper jaw is from a juvenile. So, whilst obviously don't go, the only thing I would caution against is doing the rather outdated Australovenator with an allosauroid thing with the paired crests. I would argue against doing paired crests because those are very allosauroid feature. Don't try and make them allosauroid at the moment, unless of course you're deliberately doing it as such, in which case kudos to you. All I'm trying to say is exercise caution with whatever you're doing with regards to Megaraptorans.
Basically, they are still a mess in every aspect, and don't think you can just combine everything together and it works.
Yeah, I mean, Megaraptor Day as well. Yeah, based on what we've seen in Megaraptor Day, there's actual impossibility to combine things together with Australovenator and Megaraptor's hands, Aerosteon, Tratayenia's vertebrae. It's just very hard. But just that, and be chill. Don't hate on others for doing things a bit differently with Megaraptoran art. With Megaraptorans are a mess, but they could also be a pool of creativity as well.
Yeah. You don't have to give everything this specific skull shape.
Yeah.
So don't deny Australovenator because you don't like the composite skull. Hint, hint.
Yeah. Clearly, this was all tying back to last week's episode, largely. It's not just because of that, obviously. I'm not.
It's pretty coincidental because we already wanted to do this episode once before.
Oh yeah, we already wanted to do this episode, and we would have discussed, the composite skeletal and all that before. It's just an unfortunate coincidence that
we had a lot going on. Let's just say,
yeah. Oh yeah.
Dinosaurs crossover took up some space, and it was Dinosaurs.
Oh god, yeah.
Yo-Yo just died.
Lori
and
came
then
out
we
as
had
well.
Paleo Games. So
Yeah. Well, Paleo Games was Paleo Games we recorded like a month ago, so
oh yeah,
that one arguably was just that was one of the ones that got delayed. That wasn't a delaying factor. The delaying factor was the NHK one getting released and it becoming a two-parter, the Edaphosaurus spontaneous crossover, and the
Lori paper I think was also.
yes, and the lorry paper coming out, which was great, but very unexpected. So yeah, that's all I want to say. And since we talked about Megaraptoran reconstructions, bada bing, bada boom, time for paleo media. Specifically,
Finally we can get to a topic where we all can talk.
yes,
Because so far, no offense, it's been let's just let a hero ramble about this while we just shut up and wait.
yeah, as you should. But yeah, now we can all talk. I'm joking, Armin.
Yeah, he's joke. He's joke.
It's only joke. Just kidding.
Yes.
That's a reference they're never getting.
Nobody is getting low.
Yeah. Anyways, before we say too much, paleo media. We've got a big chunk of Australovenator. So shall we just and Australian Megaraptorans actually?
Yeah, it's just.
So shall we start with the only South American one that's really gotten a big depiction?
Okay, fair enough. Yo-Yo is alive again.
Oh my god.
Hey, Yo-Yo.
I'm sorry. What disconnected?
That's fine. We just started paleo media, so join at a good time.
I'm sorry. Like,
don't apologize. It's fine. I was quiet. I joke. So let's start with everyone's favorite Megaraptoran. Drum roll. Dinosaur planet Carcharodontosaur.
That's basically a giga.
In morphology, yes, but it is based on a Megaraptoran. So and whether or not you treat it as a Megaraptoran Carcharodontosaur, entirely up to you. We're just giving it a special shout out because we'd like to tie back to the fact that we said Aerosteon was originally thought of as a Carcharodontosaur through to 2007, actually, through to the early 2000s, through to the mid 2000s, actually. I don't know why I said early 2000s, but well into the 2000s, it was thought of as a Carcharodontosaur, based on its morphology, unpublished. By the time it was published, like we said, Serena just went, and made it a generic theropod with affinities to Carcharodontosaurs, Allosauroids, Neovenaturids, all of them, and more. But at the time, it was thought of, as they were excavating it, a Carcharodontosaur, and it happened to be from the same formation as some of the other animals, namely Alcosaurus, I believe. I'm just double-checking, that's the one it was in a formation. Yeah, Anacleto formation, so Aerosteon, Alcosaurus, Gasparinosuchus as well, Nuquensaurus, which may be what the Saltosaurus is actually based on, but that's another issue entirely. But whatever the case, it does match the Alcosaurus' presence. It is a large Carcharodontosaur formation, so it's quite likely that the dinosaur planet Carcharodontosaurs are Aerosteon. That aside, what do you guys think of this depiction? Sorry, what do you mean based on?
Based on the remains, but not the...
Yeah. They may not. They may be representing an Aerosteon unnamed. They may just be, screw it, there's Carcharodontosaurus, so let's put Carcharodontosaurus there. We don't know their reasoning, but some level of correlation between Aerosteon and this animal is logical to assume, I believe.
Oh, yes.
Regardless of how much importance you give to it. For me, they're just generic Carcharodontosaurs in appearance. But quite possible inspired by, at the very least, by Aerosteon. But enough about the backstory. What do you guys think of its appearance?
Quite honestly, I was never a big fan of the design.
I mean...
I absolutely love it. I think it's beautifully animated. The model quality is great. You can see all the scars. Yes, Yo-Yo, hush. But the model quality is great. The texture, the animation, it's got a real sense of weight to it. I like the fact that the entire chase sequence is just them walking. rather than a needless high-speed pursuit.
I mean, you can't really do a high-speed pursuit with sauropods.
Yeah. And you don't need to. Yeah. Like, for instance, the Australovenator trackways, Australovenator, if it were Stampede, the Australovenator speed there would have been a bit less than 20 kilometers per hour, which is much less than speed estimates given based on the morphology, which are around 30, 32 kilometers per hour.
It can be circling around to Australovenator. How odd.
Yes. But yeah, anyways, that was about how not all animals run at top speed. I don't know why, I just happened to bring that up. But yeah, I like it, personally. That's all. That's my main input.
Never been a massive fan of it, to be honest.
There's sexual dimorphism presumed. I believe they're like supposed to be.
Yeah, that's what
I mean, yeah, the idea is there, but I think it just did a much better job with the Orcosaurus in terms of sexual dimorphism. Because
definitely.
It's one is brown with stripes, and the other one is just plain gray.
It's the untextured model.
Yes, basically.
Big bro.
But yeah, I like it.
But
anyways,
I've heard many people compliment the sound effects, which were, I think, changed up elephants were. Elephant noises, and I never liked it that much. I also always found that stuff like the T-Rex in Wong of Dinosaurs just had much better sound design.
Possibly. I don't know. I don't remember the sound design that much, but possibly. I remember being like indifferent to the sound design, probably, which is why I don't remember it. But yeah. Anyways,
next one.
That's it for South American Megaraptorans. We've got our next one up. Oh, and remember, guys, stay tuned for the end because there's one of the worst pieces of art you will ever see. So stay tuned for that. Trust me, it's going to be glorious. But for the time being,
Allosaurus. Okay.
Polar Allosaur. Not. I personally, I don't follow the retcon and treat it as Australovenator because I'm sticking to the original show.
Well, obviously.
Yeah.
Green time.
What do you guys think of it?
It looks.
I mean, it's just a green Allosaur, Allosaurus model.
I mean, yeah, design controversial, but I always liked it personally. Also,
I mean, it is. When I found out, quote unquote, that it was Australovenator, I really liked it personally. Like just the combination, the design and its appearance in the show was always nice, and it's one of the things that got me liking Australovenator. I did a short film with them once with like stop motion.
I mean, there's a gorgeous shot which I'm just looking at.
Yeah,
there are some great images of it out there. Like shots like this is really where it shines, in my opinion.
Oh yeah,
like that's a gorgeous image.
Oh yeah, that's a good shot. Damn.
Yeah.
Still looks bad.
No, I like it, and it's got it. I will say it is also. I feel it shines because it's one of the few really interesting parts in what I feel is a subpar episode.
No, yeah, I mean, it wasn't my favorite as a kid, but it has grown on me, especially the music and the cinematography of the episodes.
I have to rewatch
there
it.
Some beautiful shots.
Remember that.
The entire intro sequence with the forest. Some great stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But that's it.
I mean, Yo-Yo can't say much because.
No, I remember watching it as a
documentary version.
It was so good.
Yeah, Yo-Yo's seen one subpar, let's be real, documentary, Last Day of the Dinosaurs, and you watched the first episode of the NHK documentary, right?
Yep.
Okay, so you have seen one good documentary.
You still need to watch it before you go to TetsuCon, so.
Yeah. We're gonna get NHC stalkers, NHC podcast stalkers camping outside TetsuCon. But anyways, this was retconned as Allosaurus, but as Australovenator, but we're still. Now let's move on to actual Australovenator.
The deepest one, the very deepest.
Yes.
The big boy.
Personally, this one always is the first thing I think of when I think of Australovenator in media. It was one of the first things I saw. I watched it in Dinosaur Stampede. They also had all of the. This was back when Hive Studios was nice and had all of the clips available on their site with just a little watermark. So you can actually see the actual CGI. You can see the whole CGI sequence of the dinosaur stampede on their site, just with a watermark. So I really liked it. So it had left a big impression on me as a kid. This is from 2011, by the way. So this is before the they discovered that it had a different hand to Megaraptor. When was that? I believe the four-limb elements of Australovenator were described in 2012. So they were described the next year. So by the time the model was being made, they hadn't been properly unearthed and all that. And also one of the last things was that when originally discovered, they thought they weren't clear on like which finger the claw was on and all that. So there was a bit of a hubbub. But at the time being, that's why it has the more standard Megaraptor / Neovenatorid claw, with the first one being bigger. Overall, I like it. Looking at it like this, chest looks a bit weird. It's very barrel chested, and it stops very abruptly before the neck.
Yeah.
The head is dog-like. It's very small. It does have its issues, but like
I like the
if you block out the head and neck, it's pretty nice.
The best thing about it, I think, is the legs.
Sorry?
The best thing about the model is the legs.
The legs are great.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Like he has long legs. Like the musculature is pretty good. Yeah. No, the legs are I think are great. It really conveys the musculature, and overall the pose, although it was still thought to be Neovenatorid, is far more Coelurosaurian than some like the next ones. It's nice. It's got a very alert, energetic pose, and the foot is real nice. Ooh, but they're not, right?
Sorry.
They're not, right? Like the hands. I thought the hands were pronated.
Yeah, they are. They are slightly pronated.
They're midway.
Like I said, the paper, the Australovenator's paper suffer from unexplained pronation of the hands, which is annoying as hell, but it is what it is. Moving on, we have its next appearance, which was in 2012. So now they actually have the proper hands. Here's a full body shot. It's a bit blurry because it's a full body, but just to give an idea of the pose. Before we discuss the details, like the hands and the head, this one has a far more Neovenatorid pose, oddly enough. it's more low slung, the head, and it's more fully horizontal. It runs like with its head held out in front of it, like lower than the tail almost. So it's really weird. You'll notice as well, like the previous one, it has this white stripe from the armpit to the hip.
Yeah.
Which is a staple of all of the official Australovenator reconstructions by the Australian Age of Dinosaurs Museum and its properties, like the documentaries and other art that we'll be looking at later. I'll share a close-up of the head and all that.
Yeah, it's better quality.
Okay, yeah,
Sorry?
that's a better picture.
Better quality, I said it. Better.
Yeah. The head is more Allosauroid as well. It's got paired crests.
It's more Allosauroid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really
It's
don't like
more rounded towards the tip of the snout.
Overall, they're going for a more crocodilian, which I'm not really a fan of.
They're more Allosauroid, let's say. Pronated hands, but accurate claws this time. Because they have that right now.
See that the claws are good.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of the complete matte black claws that they have. Yeah.
Pattern is nice. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, it's the same pattern, but a bit brighter, more different shades and stuff. Yeah, more counter shading, more vivid counter shading. I still prefer the older pattern, the less vibrant one, personally. But to each their own.
Yeah.
Also, look at the previous one.
Okay.
That's almost unguligrade. Look at where the upper claw is. It's almost like walking on its claws rather than the toes. Look at the left leg.
Yeah.
And also it appears to be grabbing the animal with its foot, which it definitely would have been unable to with its right foot. That's why it doesn't show.
Just kick in and eat it, honestly.
Yeah.
Anyways, we have one more Australovenator depiction. This was from 2012, which is why we have the accurate claws. We have one more Australovenator depiction to show you. Actually, let me say, so like we said, the first one is Dino Stampede. This one is from episode 3 of the Time Traveler's Guide, also known as Australia, the First 4 Billion Years. And this one is from Monsters in the Outback.
Again, same basic design.
It's the same model. It's the same animation studio as well. It's a slightly better of a pose, I feel, as well. It's less low slung.
I'm not sure.
I prefer
the pose in the picture above made sense given the context.
No, it runs like that as well, though.
Oh, okay, that's annoying then. That's annoying.
Yeah, it's
but
very much.
The pose in this particular picture doesn't look all that great either.
Yeah,
so...
it's roaring at Matilda, the Dinosaurus, which Banjo, the nickname of the Australovenator, died with.
Yeah.
That's it. Not much more to say. It's the same thing. Pronated hands, still with that small head.
Yeah.
Which I'm so sorry about. I think I prefer the small head in the previous one a bit.
Who are you calling Pinhead?
This one is basically Pinhead. This one is completely that. It's teeny tiny, stoopy.
Teeny tiny.
Yeah. But that concludes it for Australovenator's documentary appearances and TV appearances in general. Let's mention, because we still have some more stuff, but before we move away from documentary paleomedia, I'd like to mention a potential future for Australovenator, namely the upcoming IMAX documentary, which, let me grab the picture. The annoying thing about this one is its name is Dinosaur Island, so that's going to be really damn annoying.
Rick has to review the fourth Dinosaur Island movie in this case. Exactly.
He mentioned it in his Dinosaur Island one. If you haven't seen it already, check it out. It's a fun one.
Yeah.
But anyways, so here is the poster for Dinosaur Island, coming spring 2020. But these are IMAX films; they always get delayed a bit.
Which actually looks interesting.
It does. It's focusing on Cooper the Titanosaur. It appears to have what's a crocodile in the background.
Yeah, got the crocodile.
Which actually, now that they announced a new crocodilic form from the Winton Formation, I wonder if there's actually like a big crocodile from the Winton Creek Formation, not just the small 1 meter long Cisfordia.
Yeah.
But whatever the case, it could also just be it could also just be Kronosaurus, sadly.
Yeah, it looks a bit weird because it looks so smooth.
Ooh, yes.
But yeah, I'll wait and see what it turns out to be.
But that's Cooper on front, what looks like Metabarosaurus to the left.
Yeah.
If they put Metabarosaurus and Australovenator again, I am losing it, because they do not coexist. Whereas it's been hinted at. And actual papers about Australovenator have been published with official artwork showing it attacking Metabarosaurus. But no. Especially now that we've discovered Fostoria from the Green Creek Formation, we know that there was actually quite a variety of large ornithopods. So large ornithopods, currently known from the Winton Formation only from trackways, need not necessarily be Metabarosaurus species. But whatever the case, we've got Cooper in the front. That's the only one that we can reasonably identify. And possible Australovenator, possible ornithopod, possible Tamimus. For all we know, I don't know. But it is Australovenator's next big chance in film and or television and or big paleomedia. That's all we've got. But even regardless of that, I just want to say, since we're discussing it now, I am actually hyped for seeing that. Because generally new dinosaur media is always good, but they're teasing that they will have like CGI reconstructions of that it will have, incredibly real CGI dinosaurs. So
yeah.
They may not be incredibly real, but at least they'll be CGI dinosaurs again. But that's it for the future. But now we've got 2 more depictions of Australovenator left. Someone's typing and I can hear that.
Excuse me, I just need to.
It's fine. But here is the best depiction of Australovenator ever. and that it's perfect. It's got everything right. It still has a little bit of the Allosauroid paired crest, but I'm gonna let that slide.
Yeah, only thing I can think of that I don't like about this is just it's a bit shrink wrapped around the belly, and
Yeah, I was gonna
And
say
that this animal actually has gastralia preserved, and you're not compensating for
the
gastralia.
only thing I can say is like I guess the lack of feathers and the more Silurosaurian.
Even then, I wouldn't say feathers are an inaccuracy. I think we can't.
I think feathers itself aren't the problem. I think it's that it looks very crocodilian in terms of
the ridging and all of that.
Yeah.
The integument is just a disclaimer, we did not mention feathers for Megaraptorans. One last mention. It's quite likely that Megaraptorans would probably have had feathers if they are basal Coelurosaurs or even Tyrannosauroids, because we have feathers from both basal Coelurosaurs and Tyrannosauroids. Arguably more so from actually Tyrannosauroids, but yeah, whatever the case, it seems likely that they would have had feathers to some extent. But even then, I don't think it's something we should be getting hung up over when it's Megaraptora, of all things. We might wake up and find out that they're sister taxa to Dilophosaurus tomorrow. Probably not, but you never know. So my point is, we shouldn't get hung up over the feathers, but you do make valid points about the integument being very crocodilian-like in the wrinkling and the ridging, resembling crocodilian segmented chunks. And obviously the gastralia is, I believe, the biggest objective issue, the stomach. But the legs are great, the proportions overall are great, the hand is great, the hand is unpronated for once.
Yeah.
So purely by virtue of unpronated hands, I believe it automatically wins. But overall, the proportions are real nice, I feel. Again, you can see the white stripe from the armpit to the hips, which all of these arts have. But anyways, it is what it is. And that's amazing artwork, but we're not done. Hold on to your butts, because are you guys ready for the most? I'm just gonna let you guys sink in. I'm just gonna let it sink in. This is from the official Australian Age of Dinosaurs website page for Australovenator, okay?
Yeah.
How bad can it be?
It can be very bad.
Oh god.
There's so much wrong with this.
Excuse me.
Like, the opposable third finger. The
third finger, not even the third finger.
Moment of silence.
Then the second hand has 4 fingers, and the gap between 2 fingers is colored in.
It's webbed.
So,
it's not even webbed, it's just a coloring mistake.
Feet? I'm so...
The feet are off as well. Like, is that supposed to be a forward-pointing, like properly forward-pointing, almost Deinonychosaurian hallux? The hallux being the small inner toe that doesn't touch the ground.
I have no idea if it's supposed to be.
It looks kind of like a botched one, but oh my god!
It has one regular. It has 2 ostrich feet basically.
Yeah. From what we can see, unless there's like a third toe just hiding away there.
I assume it is because the middle toe on the back leg is pretty thick, so it looks like there could be another one. And we, according to that leg, the big claw is on the outside.
Yeah.
And in the forefoot, it's on the inside, so there's gotta be like another toe somewhere in between. But again,
4 fingers.
The hallux comes out of the metatarsals and what? Also, the limb in the background has the same color as the outer side of the limb in the foreground.
Yeah. 4 fingers though. What?
And we haven't even talked about the head yet.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but look how much. Look how low the throat opening is as well.
Let's not talk about that.
It's screaming in pain.
It's in pain. Where are its nostrils? I have questions.
No, I can see the nostrils, I think. But
It's
kind of, yeah.
Also, of course, Allosauroid crest.
I guess.
Or Monolophosaurus crest.
Monolophosaurus crest, arguably.
Okay, yeah, good point.
4 fingers on one hand, 3 fingers on the other hand, an opposable finger, and not even an opposable first finger, a third finger.
Can you delete? I don't want to see that anymore.
It's not even opposable. It's not like it can rotate or something. It's just fused, facing, and a grasping.
Carol, I'm gonna have nightmares now.
Well, tough luck.
And the stomach it hasn't been fixed at all. No compensation on that end.
Also, I'm pretty sure the part where the shin connects to the metatarsals. Look at it.
Ouch.
Oh god, yeah.
Can we just enough of this? Enough. I don't want this in my life. I don't want it in my brain. I don't want it as a memory. Just delete it from existence, please.
Never. We must all bear the burdens. We must face the mistakes of our elders. We cannot hide it away.
We gotta embrace what our ancestors.
No. We gotta burn it publicly. No.
Was this the last one? Please tell me it was the last one.
This was the last one. This is the closing image of this podcast.
Okay, let's conclude.
Yeah. So we hope you found it worthwhile sticking to the very end. We're gonna be recording and preparing the our art submission video shortly as well. So as you can see,
Yep.
we tied in with this. We've seen some incredible art as well so far, but actually let's not mention it so far, but just a preliminary thank you for everyone who participated in the art challenge as well. But yeah, anyways, Megaraptor to conclude. What a mess.
Yeah.
But some incredible taxa as well. Aerosteon's not half bad. Beaver's gonna be happy I said that.
Australovenator is the best.
Objectively, yes. And here's hoping we find a second Australovenator specimen.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
Hopefully with at least one vertebrae, so that my OCD doesn't just... But yeah, here's hoping we find the upper skull, and here's hoping it's as badass as the rest of it. And yeah. Australia!
Australia! Crikey!